You are listening to the Power of Inspiration and Awakening Radio with Julia Griffin. To master a higher frequency for new state of mind. Once you walked in a forest of splendor in which everything you did and everything you thought was aligned. It is possible at this time to begin to return to the old knowledge. Intuitive healer and manifestor Julia Griffin is here to talk about this unique time in history when all sentient beings, animals, plants, trees, and the earth are intent on creating this change. The wolves awakened her to the most incredible light, which opened gifts and brought knowledge that she longs to share. You are creators, and you are born to be creators of beauty, possibility, and joy. Join Julia on a journey into a beautiful and magical world where amazing possibilities exist. Let us help open the door. The Power of Inspiration and Awakening with Julia Griffin starts right now.
Hello, everyone. I'm Julia Griffin, and you're listening to the Power of Inspiration and Awakening on Transformation Talk Radio. Stay with us for the next hour and let us help you experience a higher vibration and a new state of mind. Welcome to the show. Today's show features guest Dr. Udo Eramus. He is well known for his work with oils to create greater health, and today he's going to tell us about total sexy health and the 8 keys designed by nature. He'll also tell us about the role of peace and inner awareness and higher consciousness and how this affects our health. So tune in and stay with us. Let me tell you about Dr. Udo. He earned his Bachelor of Science from the University of British Columbia, followed by graduate studies in biochemistry and genetics. 1980 was his turning point when he was poisoned by pesticides. To heal himself, he turned his attention to the field of nutrition. Several years of research culminated in his first book, Fats and Oils, which established Udo as a sought-after expert on the subject. In 1983, he began to pioneer technology for pressing and packaging edible fresh oils made with health in mind by excluding the 3 main factors, light, heat, and oxygen, that can damage nutritious EFA-rich oils and turn them into toxic ones. His bestseller, Fats That Heal, Fats That Kill, became recognized as the Bible on fats. He also wrote a condensed version called Choosing the Right Fats. To set new standards in other health-supporting consumer products, the Udo's Choice Health product line was created in 1994. You see it wherever you go, so try it if you're not already using it. Udo was inducted into the CHFA Hall of Fame in 2005 for educating the public about oil and pioneering higher production standards of unrefined flax and other polyunsaturated fat-rich oils. And those methods are still used today. In 2017, he was awarded Hall of Fame status from National Nutrition. He has given thousands of live educational talks and media interviews, and he's currently working on his latest book, including one on fats and oils, due out in 2021. Welcome, Dr. Udo.
Good morning.
I am so impressed by your book. If you didn't catch it the first time, it's the book for Total Sexy Health, the 8 Keys Designed by Nature. I was fascinated to learn that the cultivation of peace and awareness is important not only for our health, but also for a happier life. Can you tell us about this? Because I don't think it's something that everyone is aware of.
Yeah, let me answer it in a little bit different way. We live on this planet, and most of our awareness and our focus is on the body, on our thoughts, although many of those we're not that aware of them, and then in interaction with our environment, whether it's other people or the natural environment. And in all of that, what gets neglected is everything that's inside of the space that our body occupies, because that's where we actually live, in that space. We independent of the environment, we independent of other people, we held by life. and to bring our awareness back home inside to its source in life and in awareness is the big transformation that is required in order for us to solve the problems we've created from not living there. And at the core, at the deepest core of that is, I just call it internal awareness. And the main property of internal awareness is peace. And if I bring my awareness to that foundation, that peace is the foundation of my entire existence. And that peace is also the foundation of the existence of the entire universe. And that peace, when I feel it, I can look around and say, oh my God, peace has always already been everywhere. But only, and I realize, but only peace knows that. So if a person can't see peace everywhere, it's because peace in them is not doing the observing. And what that means is basically, when I can't see peace everywhere, it's because I'm disconnected from peace, the peace that is the core of my own being.
Right. And I could feel your peace when you were talking about it. That's an interesting thing about inner awareness. Once you've experienced a state, you can experience it in other people. Mm-hmm. But as you said, we all have our blocks or our limitations that we're constantly working with larger states of consciousness. Mm-hmm. So with everything going on with the COVID and everyone home right now, is this a good time to think about the energies of self-awareness?
Well, my view is this. We've been in lockdown, to the extent we've been in lockdown, we couldn't go outside. So my quip was, well, if you can't go outside, go inside. So we've got a forced lockdown. And I think it's there are lots of problems with COVID and physical problems and all of that. But there's also a huge blessing from it. COVID was able to do in a matter of a couple of months what all the great masters and all the wisest people and all the best rulers on the planet have never been able to accomplish in their lifetime. It put the entire human race on hold and said, wait a minute. And then, the most of the psychological issues that people have from that is because they're not comfortable in their own life. So they've always thinking they need something on the outside. And that got taken away for a while. Mm-hmm. And you know what? If the outside doesn't work, and I was born in a war. That's my longer story. I was born during the Second World War. There was nothing much I could trust outside that I felt I could depend on. And so because I couldn't, because my parents had to leave me behind. And so, it was really crazy. And the communists were chasing us in tanks and trucks. The Allies were shooting at refugees, mostly women with young children on horse-drawn hay wagons, trying to get the hell out of there. And the Allies were shooting at us from planes. Like, these are the good guys, right?
Wow, what a landscape.
Yeah, really. And compare it to COVID. That was a lot worse landscape than COVID. Mm-hmm. Right? So in that confusion, I became quite obsessed with what can I trust? And that led me into sciences and then biosciences and then psychology, how things work, how creatures work, how thinking works, self-knowledge, because I needed to know how I work. And the exploration of that is how I arrived at what I'm talking about now. That the state of being, I can be in the state of being of peace, sitting where I'm sitting right now, look around and say, man, peace is everywhere. It's always been everywhere. It's even on the battlefield where people are fighting, except the people on the battlefield are not focused on peace. They got that idea in their head. You my enemy, I'm going to kill you. The other guy's saying, you're my enemy, I'm going to kill you. And then they play that game because they're not in touch with the peace that fills their being and that fills the space around them, between them, above them, below them. If they were in touch with that, they'd probably put their weapons down and share their sandwiches. And so So I can be in this state of peace and see peace everywhere, but I can also be in a state of anger and I'll see enemies everywhere. Same place. I'm in the same place. No change except my state of being. I can be in a state of fear and see danger everywhere. Same place, where my state of peace will see peace, my state of anger will see enemies, and my state of fear will see danger. So the state of being that we choose to develop and to occupy is actually the single most important determinant of what we're going to perceive in the world, how we're going to live into the world, and what kind of a world we create.
And so let's paraphrase some of that for people who've had a difficult childhood or a difficult life. As you and I know, the answer is inside. It's self-knowledge. And it's learning how to turn that switch that turns you into a place where the universe responds to you, or whether you're going to hold lower, angry, upsetting thoughts and create that world.
Right. So the way I look at it is, I had my share of trauma when I was a kid. I mean, I didn't get along with my dad. Yeah. My mother left me behind. I had the war. We were hungry. We lost everything. So there was a lot of confusion. So I had my share of trauma. The thing about trauma is it affects your body. It affects your mind. It affects your emotions. It affects your social situation, and it affects your environment, because it's about change, and change that you don't want, right? And you don't necessarily have control of that. But the whole time, while in trauma, while in all of that drama happened to me, and it took me a long time to realize that the whole time, when I was thinking about the war and the unsafety and the confusion and the chaos and the anxiety, something was taking perfect care of me from inside. And what was taking care of me from inside was not affected by any of the drama and any of the trauma. Now, the war ended when I was 3. I was still bitching about it when I was 27. So there was no war for 24 years. And I was reliving it and reliving it and reliving it. We do that with trauma as well. So, once we get traumatized, and then sometimes we traumatize ourselves by dwelling on it over and over and over again. And there's a time for grief, and there's a time for expressing it. But somewhere, so after 24 years, one day I was sitting on the porch in the sun in the summer in Vancouver, and it occurred to me that, oh my God, all this time that I've been complaining about the war that ended 24 years ago, something inside of me has taken perfect care of me through all my dramas and all my traumas and all my bitching and all of everything. And I have never given that any real attention. So I was focused on the war, and it was focused on unconditionally loving me. And I thought, just maybe, this has been a really good friend to me. Maybe, just maybe, I should say thank you, and maybe I should get to know it a little better. And that was, for me, the big turnaround of taking the inner route, because now I live in the same world as everybody. If you know how to go to the awareness where the peace is, and the life energy inside of you, where the unconditional love for your body is, if you can bring your awareness to focus on that, it can completely change, it can completely transform your life. And wouldn't it be nice if after trauma, we were able to get back to living for life instead of living for a memory of trauma?
Absolutely. So hold that thought. We're going to go to break, and when we come back, we'll talk about total sexy health and how to get it into your life. So let's go to break now.
Are you someone that doesn't just want money, but also the freedom, joy, and ease that comes from ending the painful cycle of needing money? Then join Jennifer Bloom for Being Prosperous. take charge of your money relationship. This 5-week course starts on September 1st at 6 p.m. Central. Sign up at jenniferbloom.com. That's Jennifer, BLOOME.com.
Do you drive yourself crazy trying to make important decisions? And when you finally do, then you start second-guessing yourself. Would you like to know why you do this and how to change it? You can. When you take time to go inward, you'll find a wisdom that resides in the body. Begin by quieting your mind and sending your awareness into your body. Notice where there may be a discomfort. Ask it what it wants you to know. Listen carefully. It will reveal what it is about making this decision which holds you back. You can keep asking for information until you reach the deep core value of what keeps you from comfortably making a decision and sticking with it. Awareness is the first step toward making change. I'm Carrie Kadambi, and I'd love for you to join me on Transformation Talk Radio for my show, A Spirited Exchange. For more information about me, visit my website, thedivineguidancegift.com.
What would you do with the power of community? How do you create your own rituals? Tune in to Living Your Gifts with me, Susan Huff, Ancient Applications for Modern Times, the second Wednesday of each month on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Our lives begin with the stories we are told and the stories we tell ourselves. Storytelling is the key. To learn more about me, visit livingyourgifts.com. That's livingyourgifts.com.
Are you ready to shift your current beliefs about death? From debilitating pain and loss? Follow Angie Corbett Kuiper as she shares that through choice, present moment awareness, and keeping an open mind. Anything is possible, even in death. Tune in to Beyond Proof Radio with Angie, redefining death and loss, every first Wednesday at 12 p.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com. For more, visit BeyondProof.com.
Learn to love more fearless with me, Kate, through fun, lively, real conversations as I interview expert guests who have charted a course out of the darkness into the light. Listen live every second and fourth Monday at 9 a.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com. To connect with me and check out my work as an intuitive healer, guide, and coach, visit LoveMoreFearlessIntuitive.com.
Hello, everyone. I'm Julia Griffin at OneTrueSelf.com, ONETrueSelf.com, and you're listening to The Power of Inspiration and Awakening on Transformation Talk Radio, where you can experience a higher vibration in a new state of mind. I'm talking with Dr. Udo, and we've been talking about the inner state of mind that overcomes so many limitations in life. We're also going to talk about healing the body, and Dr. Udo will tell us how to do it. So stay tuned, and let's find out more. So please share your definition of sexy and the 8 key parts designed by nature for our audience.
Okay. So the reason why I called it the book on total sexy health is because sexy is the power word. But by sexy, we don't mean missionary position or how we have sex. But sexy is about vitality, presence, full-on confidence, comfort, ease, sparkling, radiant. So there's a lot of words. These are not sexual words. It's about being fully present. And if I want to expand it, it's about being fully present in all of your own being and your surroundings, and not lost in thoughts and complaints and images and what ifs in your head. So that's my definition of sexy. And why that? Because the 8 key parts, we talked about a couple of them. One is internal awareness. That's like the core of being. So I'm working from inside outward. The second is life energy. The third is inspired creativity. The fourth is the physical body. The fifth is survival smarts. The sixth is social group. The 7th is natural environment. And the 8th is infinite awareness. And each one of those has a different nature and a different function. Each one needs a different kind of attention on a regular basis. Each one goes off in a different way, and each one responds to a different kind of intervention. And each one of those confers some of that presence to us. And when we get out of line with it, that part of our presence or that part of our sexy goes away. And when we get back in line, we get that part of sexy back. That's the model. And it's basically a model based on full presence. So we've talked about the internal awareness and life energy. It's inspiration or inspired creativity, where our originality and our will and our intent and our genius comes from, our originality, our uniqueness. That's the shine of life, and that's the bridge between life energy and the world. And out of it comes all kinds of really like the arts and creativity and gadgets that make your life easier, and anything that gets you less pain but more joy comes out of that area. The body.
This is interesting to me because part of this sounds like, Maslow's peak experiences, but I guess that's universal, that all of us are more of who we really are when we're healthy and we're doing things that inspire us on a deep level or open our hearts.
Right. So I don't think of Maslow's needs as a hierarchy. And he also questioned that, but most people use it that way. I disagree with that simply because I know that when my physical needs were not taken care of, when I was a kid, when I was hungry, my heart still ached for something. So they coexist because they're different parts of the same total being. But yeah,
like
he did
tributaries
address
of a stream, like different parts of a river, different streams that flow into it. You need all the streams for the strength of the river.
Right, but to be interested in self-actualization, I don't have to have all my physiological needs met.
Okay, great.
That was my point, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, they coexist. Your heart is hungry for wholeness, and your body is hungry for food. And the two are not mutually exclusive.
Right.
And you can be hungry for food and be thinking about things too. And you can be paying attention to your environment too. So they all coexist. They're not in a hierarchy. It's not like, I'm only interested in having my heart filled, after dessert.
Right.
Yeah. So, but he did address that there is such a thing as the need for wholeness, and he called it self-actualization, the need for presence. And there are physiological needs, and there are social needs, and there are so on. And in a way, those 8 correspond, except I'm saying they coexist, and I want you to be fully present in all of them at the same time.
Like different colors of the rainbow.
Yeah, exactly. All of them are light. Yeah.
Exactly.
So that was, so we're on the physical, which is the 4th, and we talk about food and fitness. That's where most people restrict their health issues to, food and fitness. But there's also digestion, which is a huge issue for physical health. And then there's poisons and detox, which is a big issue in a polluted world. And there's also balancing activity with rest, recovery, sleep, big issue. But that's usually what we restrict our talk on health to. But the truth is, peace, whether you have it or not, affects your health. Life energy, whether you're in touch with it or not, affects your health. Creativity, if you're not inspired, you're more likely to be heading in the direction of depression. You can't be inspired and depressed at the same time. Right? So that affects health too. And then the next one out is survival smarts. And that has to do with you being safe and protected in the environment. That's also the procreation part. And then the next one out from that is your social group. Now, we knew as kids that other people affect their health, because I remember playing soccer when I was probably 12 years old, 11 years, maybe even 10 years old. And somebody would really irritate me, and people would say, I mean, I wasn't the only one who did this, right? But people would say, "You make me sick." So we knew even as kids that other people affect our health. This is not like news. This is like common sense. So that's social group, and fundamentally you want to be with people who encourage you to develop your presence more than you want to be with people who always put you down and always tell you that you're not good enough. Obviously that affects your health. I know people who've had cancer and they ended a relationship and their cancer disappeared, right?
And I mean, as an intuitive, I see that all the time. I mean, I would say half of the illness I see is someone else taking their energy or giving them awful energy. Yeah,
right. And then the next one out is the natural environment. Obviously, what's in your environment is going to affect your health. So if you're living near an oil derrick and all the dirt and junk and sticky oil that never got cleaned up by the industry that produced it, that'll obviously, even plants don't grow. Like you can go to the Caspian Sea or wherever in Russia where the original oil derricks were, that place is still polluted and it's all got tar all over the ground, and there's still things don't grow. This is like 90 years later, right? So that affects the plants, but of course it affects your health too. So that's the number 7. And number 8 is coming to term to accept the fact that that your body is a terminal condition existing in an infinite universe, and to be okay with that. To not be going around, I'm going to die. Because, the body is a terminal condition. It's okay. And knowing that is also helpful to recognize that while you're present in a physical form, you want to be present to the presence of that physical form, because you're not the body. If you ask somebody, if you point to somebody and say, whose body is that? They usually will say to you, this is my body. So if you say, this is my body, or if I tell you that this is my body, I've just told you that I'm not the body. I've just told you that the body is my property. And I've just told you that I am the owner of the body. So then you say, so who are you as owner of the body? Some people say, well, I'm Udo Eramus. No. That's just a label somebody put on me so they could call me and I knew that they were trying to talk to me. So that's a label. I'm not Udo Eramus. So who are you? And if you look back into it, who runs the body? Who owns the body? Well, life, the energy that, life energy, the energy that keeps you alive, is who you actually are. So I ask people sometimes, tell me about the light you are. And I get her very quickly, I know how much in touch they are with who they really are. And when you're in touch with that, you're in touch with the power that is omnipresent, omnipotent, and omniscient in your body. I was thinking of
the Zen cone, what was your face before you were born?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, because that can't be physical.
That was like that was one of my first big flashes of awakening. Right. And I thought, wow, that's incredible. I know what that is. And then I thought, but there's so much more I don't know, and I'm not having the flash anymore. I guess I've got to go back to work.
Right. And actually they should have said, what was your face before you were conceived? Because your body has a face before you're born.
Right.
But the point of the before you were born, when you were in your mother's womb, everything was taken care of. There was no place to go. There was nothing to do. And it was relatively safe. And so your awareness was focused inside you, in its source, in life. And so you lived in, I call the womb the Buddha tank, because you lived in the Buddha tank, floating around in the Buddha tank in bliss, or enlightened, or lit up from within. That's what enlightened means, right? And you lived in a perfect state, and then when you were born, everything changed, and your awareness had to begin to focus outside for survival. Cry for your dinner, and cry for your diaper change, and cry for your warmth, and cry for whatever, right? And then learn language and get to know the world. And in that process, your awareness moved from being present inside but absent outside. It moved to being present outside and absent inside. That was our disconnection from ourselves. And that's why our heart aches. And that's why we're driven, because that disconnection is our driving force, because we're looking to become whole again. And if you sit with that ache that you feel in your chest, whether you call it blues or loneliness or longing or emptiness or restlessness or sorrow, grief, loss, heartache, heartbreak, thirst of the heart. I have 10 pages of words people use: separation, isolation, and you feel that feeling in your chest. What I say to people is sit with that feeling. That is the greatest gift you've been given other than being alive. Because if that didn't call you to come home to yourself, because it gets you out of your head, makes you simple, calls you home. If that wasn't there to call you home, you would get so lost you would never find your way back home. So I say sit with it, appreciate it, don't judge it. It might feel intense, but it will not hurt or kill you. And even less than a hair's breadth behind that is your wholeness that you lost in the process of getting to know the world. And so when you find that place, you will recognize it because you already spent 9 months in that place. And the enlightenment that the Buddhists talk about, or the Buddha nature, or the Christ nature, or the divine nature, or the life energy, or the sunlight, whatever you call it, or just call it life, that energy is your essential individual being. And when you feel that light, you literally, the darkness goes away. And all your darknesses of your memories and all of the stuff you've gone through, it just washes it out. And you can have trauma and you can have memory of trauma, but you won't have the emotions. The emotions.
No, you still see it, but the feelings are no longer there. It's like watching a movie without the sound.
Right, and it no longer fries you in your head. Right?
Exactly.
Because when you can live from life, then you can go through dramas and traumas, and if you get good at it, you can stay in the light while you go through the dramas and traumas. Now that takes more than that takes a lot.
It's a lot of work, but it's certainly worth getting there.
And you know what? All of the wise people all said, seek first the kingdom, and the kingdom is within you, and everything else shall be added to you. That's true. And they said, give that priority, to take time every day to be present in the life energy or the awareness of what's behind that, to give that priority. Completely changes the quality of my life.
Yeah, listen to this and work on this for you. All you people who've been telling me your 4 walls are closing in on you, think about that, who you really are, because it will stop immediately if you'll work on that.
Yeah, in fact,
one of the things that... Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in fact, if you go to the awareness inside, you go inside to connect to that awareness. But when you then expand your focus, you realize that awareness that is centered in your core, in your heart, extends infinitely. It doesn't even have a surface. So you're a center of something infinite that has no surface. That awareness,
exactly.
That's the peace awareness. In that awareness, everything else shows up, hangs out, disappears. Shows up, hangs out, disappears. Everything, and you can witness all of that without getting fried by it, without getting upset by it, without getting confused by it, without getting pained by it. And isn't it nice that we were built with something like that inside, that is actually available to us. Because
what a gift. It would be unbearable.
Otherwise, it'd be unbearable
without that.
Because there's so much craziness that comes from not living from that center.
Mm-hmm.
And then trying to deal with all that craziness. You know, the way you deal with the craziness is you got to first disappear the craziness in your own head. And you do that by going to the light in you. And when you're the light, then you can bring light into the world. And we definitely need some light.
We definitely need some light. One of the things I just have to ask you about is your mother wanted you to work in the flower beds, and then you had a complete realization of your life purpose. Is that correct?
Well, yeah. You know, I thought deeply about things when I was 6. When I was 6, I heard people arguing, adults arguing, and I said, man, there must be a way that people can live in harmony, and I'm going to find out how. So that's kind of been my driver. But I had never really figured out what to do, what's worth doing. I got into genetics and I did research, and and I looked at that stuff and said, this is not a purpose. This is not a purpose of my life kind of thing. And so I didn't know what my purpose was. And one day my mother wanted me to move her dahlia bulbs. She was getting on in age. She was in her 70s. And I looked at her and I said, Mom, I don't think that the purpose of my life is to move your dahlia bulbs. And I thought she'd be really ticked. But she wasn't. She said, what do you think is the purpose of my life? And it just spilled out of me. I'm going to make sense about how fats affect health. And I was already in the process of doing that. And then I'm going to turn health into a systematically organized, teachable, consumer-friendly field. And then I'm going to do the same thing with human nature. Why? Because it occurs to me that the reason why we're so stupid in the world is because we don't know that we already have everything we're looking for. And it's inside, but we're always looking outside because we're not doing our homework of coming home. And so her jaw dropped because she said, oh my God, my prodigal son, my black sheep son has finally found a purpose, and it's pretty clear, and it's a pretty good purpose. And my job dropped because I didn't realize until she asked the question how clear it was in me. So I never expressed it. I'd never written it down. It just came out completely clear. And I've been basically living in line with that purpose ever since. It was a very powerful experience for her and for me.
Yeah, the universe just sort of spoke through you.
Yeah, kind of. And she asked the question, right? So nobody had ever asked me, what's the purpose of your life? I don't think at that point. I was in my early 40s at that point.
So that's wonderful. So for you people who haven't found your purpose yet, you see you can go ahead and find it now or in the next couple years. Yeah, but we're talking to, go ahead.
But I was already doing my inner work. So my recommendation to people is, look, you didn't exist for 4 billion years. Now you're here. If you're lucky, you get 100 years. Then you're going to not exist for another 4 billion years or forever. So you get 100 years in the realm of infinity. You get 100 years. And what would be the purpose of that 100 years if the primary purpose was not to fully experience the totality of your being and your surroundings? What would be the purpose?
That is a great question. So let's hold that thought.
Yeah.
And we're going to go to break. We'll come back with that. Yeah. We're talking with Dr. Udo about sexy health and how you can change your life and improve your health on a spiritual and a physical level. So stay with us. We'll be back in just a moment.
Tune in to The Truth is Funny with Colette Steffen each Wednesday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com. This hit show will have you thinking outside the box and riding the wave of infinite potential. Join Colette on the Higher Self Network, inspiring listeners to shine their brilliance and ensure success while roaring with laughter as they recognize the humor of the giant cosmic joke. Visit TheTruthIsFunny.com.
Yeah, yippee skippy to that, baby. We're not done yet. Some of us are out here to educate and inspire. This year, 2020, is the year we gotta show me the money in the cash flow. I'm Dr. Pat. This is the Dr. Pat Show. This is Talk Radio to Thrive By.
Visit thedrpatshow.com.
The Truth is Funny. Shift Happens with Colette Marie Steffen is excited to welcome Karen Benton as a monthly guest host. Tune in on the third Wednesday of each month at 8 a.m. Pacific Time to regain confidence and trust in your capacity to create change in your life, your health, your family, and your well-being. Karen Benton is a mother, nurse practitioner, certified body talk practitioner, Franklin Method instructor, and owner of Limitless Living LLC. For more information about Karen, visit KarenBenton.com. Is traditional medicine not working for you? Do you still feel as if your health isn't 100%? Here at the Holistic Medical Center, Dr. Nushin Darvish and the qualified staff look through the dimensions of wellness and start a healing plan prioritized to your needs. Our physicians assess the whole you until complete health is achieved. Get the help you need by visiting drdarvish.com or call 425-451-0404.
Do you sometimes feel overwhelmed by your mind? Powerless when it seems to spin in worry circles or bombard you with self-critical thoughts? Do you want to learn how to master your mind and feel more in control of your life? Listen to Dr. Friedman's Empowerment Radio. Shift from confusion to clarity, self-doubt to confidence, and from anxiety to peace and balance. Dr. Friedman and his many guest experts share the insights and tools you want to live with greater ease, joy, and purpose. Tune in to Empowerment Radio every first and third Thursday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time.
Conscious Confidence Radio, a timeless wisdom with Sarah Main. Tune in each month on Transformation Talk Radio and join Sarah on an adventurous journey to the deeper level of meaning to move beyond today's world of constant change, confusion, and uncertainty beyond the shadow of fear. This hit show explores key concepts such as confidence, values, and attitude in a dynamic way. To learn more about Sarah and her work, visit sarahmain.com.
We're back on, and I'm Julia Griffin at OneTrueSelf.com, ONETrueSelf.com, with the Power of Inspiration and Awakening show, where you can experience a higher vibration and a new state of mind. We're talking with Dr. Udo about real health. So, Dr. Udo, would you tell us about your goal? You know, you had the realization of what you wanted to do with your life, and then from that you developed a goal about change on the planet. So tell us about that.
Okay, so the realization was when I was 6 years old, there must be a way that people can live in harmony, and I'm going to find out how. Of course, I was 6 years old, so it's like I had no idea how complicated everything is. So it's easy for a kid to say that and then say, "Oh my God, where is this?" Anyway, so the goal is 8 billion people live their lives lit up from within because the light is already inside of everyone. It's a matter of looking into it instead of looking away from it. And all you have to do is sit still, go to your, bring your awareness home inside to the longing, to the feeling, to the light, to the awareness inside. So it just takes time to take time for yourself to do the exploration, because that's where all the goodies are. All your riches, the real riches that no one can take from you, that make you feel whole, make you feel rich. You already got it in you. You're born loaded with all of that, all of the good stuff, the love, the peace, all of the contentment, the wholeness. It's all inside of you already. So 8 billion people live lit up from within because the light's there and they're looking into it instead of looking away from it. When we do that, we will feel so taken care of by life that we won't go around stealing each other's stuff. And when we stop stealing each other's stuff, we can actually live in harmony together. When we live in harmony together, then it's just common sense that we make sure that everybody's basic needs are met on a long-term sustainable basis. And that's the new world. And it's nothing changed in that world except our awareness, the focus of our awareness has been internalized to life, to the master within, to the life that is taking care of everything within, and to that master that doesn't have any fear in it because it's indestructible. Energy is formless and indestructible. Consciousness is fearless and indestructible. You want to get out of stress? Go to the place that can't be stressed. You know, everything that is destructible is subject to stress. Only what is not, has no form, can never lose its form. So that's basically the goal. That's the big transformation.
That's
Nothing
wonderful.
has to change. And then out of that, we also see the world different. So then we eat in line with nature, and we work in line with nature, and we balance our activity with rest. You know, right now we're saying, you know, work hard, play hard, but nobody says do nothing hard.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about being and doing. We call ourselves human beings, but we're actually addicted to doing, and we know very little about being. But when you think about it, being is more important than doing. How do you know that? Because you can be without doing, but you can't do without being. So being is more fundamental and more important and more basic than doing. And so if you can be in touch with your being, then you can also see what needs to be done. Because when I didn't feel taken care of, everything I did had an element of, what can I do that'll get me taken care of? And so I wouldn't do things that needed to be done because I couldn't see how they would take care of me. When I started feeling taken care of, because I brought my awareness inside to where I'm taken care of, it completely changed. I said, okay, what needs to be done around here? It's not about me anymore. I know where to go when I need to feel taken care of, or I feel taken care of. So where can I help? What needs to be done around here? And now I can take on bigger projects because I'm good to go. I'm not doing it so I can get taken care of. I'm doing it because it needs to be done, and I'm doing it because it's possible. And I can take on bigger projects, and actually the market for the bigger projects that need to be done is bigger than the little things I used to try and do to try to figure out how to get myself taken care of. So it's a complete change from being a getter, from being a go-getter to being a go-giver.
Right. Because when you're really being a go-giver, you receive. There's a balance between the two states.
Not only do I receive more, but I've already got everything. So it's not like I got to be saying, well, I got to make sure that I get my, because I'm already fully cared for.
Well, there's a happiness in that type of giving that I think people feel.
It doesn't have any strings attached. I think that's what makes it so nice. So you give because you can. You give because you have something that you can give. You give because somebody needs something. And you're not doing it so remember me that I gave you this and later on I'm going to come and collect. Right?
Right.
When you feel taken care of, that goes away. That's, same with rich people. If you ask sometimes, I ask sometimes, why is it that some people have so much and they won't give it? And I know why it is. It's because to be greedy, you have to be discontent. So what happens is they say, $1 million, $10 million, $100 million, $1 squillion, and still they don't feel taken care of because it's all money is not the root of happiness. Happiness is the root of happiness. Happiness already exists full-fledged inside of everybody, but they're not going inside, they're going outside. So they get all this money and they have all these goods and they have all this stuff and they hang on to what they don't even need because they fear that if they gave away what they don't even need, they would be even more discontent. And the moment the discontent gets dealt with and they feel whole and they feel taken care of, then if somebody comes and says, hey, I'm hungry, and they've eaten and they still have food, and they say, yeah, why would you not give it? Why would you not give food where it does the most good if you have food that's going to rot if you don't allow somebody else to eat it? That's That's mental illness. That kind of discontent is mental illness. The first corruption, we talk about corruption a lot. The first corruption, our first corruption, is our disconnection from ourselves. And then after that, in a way, everything is corrupt. When we get back to the place where we feel whole, that's where the corruption ends. Mm-hmm. Because then we can shine into the world. Sorry, what?
Yeah. I was just going to say, so that's the answer to so many of the negative things that are going on in the world.
Yeah.
Is finding enough within.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can talk about, if you talk about from the personal level, your salvation is in your connection to your life. And your life saves your body every moment of every day. And your breath saves you every breath. Right? If you look at it on a social level, that's the collection of all the individual disconnections. And that's the mess that comes out of, most individuals be living disconnected from themselves.
Great.
And that's why 8 billion people living connected to themselves and lit up from within, just completely different planet, even though physically nothing might change. It'll be a completely different planet. And then we'll plant the 7.5 trillion trees that we chopped down and fix the climate by doing that. And then we'll do water management in a way that makes sense. So we don't have droughts in one place and floods in another. So we have enough water. We're just not managing it properly. So
Sounds
anything becomes possible at that point. But we won't do it from discontent. We can only do it from feeling taken care of, even in this situation, because the care that needs to be manifested into the world lives inside of every human being already.
Thank you so much, Dr. Udo. Would you please share your website and tell our listeners where they can find you and how they can learn more?
Yes, I have a couple of websites. One is called udoschoice.com, UDOS choice.com, and that's where I talk about oils and enzymes and probiotics and a few other things, the physical stuff. And then I have another one called The Udo, THEUDO. And on that, we have some courses and some of this kind of stuff. And I do quite a few podcasts, and I'm on LinkedIn, and I'm on Facebook, and I got a YouTube channel, Udo Eramus, ERASMUS. So I'm not hard to find. UDO. Okay. There are not a lot of Udos around.
No, that should be easy.
You'll find me pretty quickly.
Okay. So thank you so much for being on the show. If anyone out there wants to sign up for my weekly newsletter, go to my website, onetrueself.com, onetrueself.com, and receive some tips about energetic weather, development on a spiritual level, and finding a higher vibration. I want to thank you for tuning in to the Power of Inspiration Awakening show. Please join me on the second and fourth Wednesdays of every month at 12 noon Eastern, 11 Central, and 9 a.m. Pacific. Have a great week, and I'll see you back here next time.
Thank you, Julia.
Thank you for listening to the Power of Inspiration and Awakening Radio with Julia Griffin to master a higher frequency for a new state of mind. Join us next time as Julia takes us deeper into the memory of the moments of light where transcendence and enlightenment emerge. The memory of the jewel of consciousness is always lived within you to tap into waves of energy and create huge changes by imagining the beauty of the vision and desires that are hidden in the heart. Learn to find your way back to nature, beauty, and your own heart, which holds the secrets of your existence and future. To discover more about Julia's adventures, animal communication, and the teachings she brings to every show, visit onetrueself.com. That's onetrueself.com. That's ONE, trueself.com.
Views expressed on this program are those of the host, guests, and callers, and do not necessarily reflect the views of the station, its management, or advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.